Welcome back to English with Narayana. We're going to do something really fun today. We're going to take a deep dive into the world of polyglots.
Polyglots.
Yeah. Those are people who can speak lots of languages fluently.
Ah, like more than 2 or 3.
Way more, like 4 or 5, even 10 or more.
Wow. That's amazing. It's like they have a superpower.
Right. So in this deep dive, we're going to learn their secrets so you can learn English faster and better.
And more fun than just grammar rules, right?
Definitely. Speaking of fun, one of the big secrets is that polyglots start speaking right away, from day one.
From day one. But what if you only know a few words, like a total beginner?
That's the best time to start, actually.
Right? Why is that?
Well, every time you speak, you're training your brain in English. Even if you make mistakes, you're getting comfortable, you know?
Makes sense. It's like practice makes perfect.
Exactly. But I remember when I first started learning English, I was so shy to speak.
I get it.
I was so afraid I'd sound silly, you know, making mistakes.
Yeah.
It's a common fear. But polyglots, they have a way to overcome that. They see mistakes as like chances to learn, and they know the sooner you start speaking, the faster you break through that fear.
That's true. But how do you find opportunities to speak if you're not living in like America or England?
Well, these days, technology helps a lot.
How so?
There are some great apps like Tandem and Hello Talk. You can talk with native speakers, people from all over the world.
Wow, I'll have to check those out. But what if you're alone right now? No one to practice with. Can you still practice speaking?
Of course. Even talking to yourself in English helps.
Talking to myself.
Yeah, just describe what you're doing. Like, I'm making breakfast. Ask yourself questions, anything. It gets those English words flowing.
Like I'm creating my own little English world in my head.
Exactly. And you can record yourself too, then listen back.
Ah, that's smart. To check my pronunciation and stuff.
Yeah.
Speaking of challenges, I always struggled with new words. So many to learn.
Right. But polyglots have a trick for that too.
Dude, they are masters of learning in context.
In context. What does that mean?
Okay, imagine the word decision. Hard to remember, right?
Kinda, yeah.
But if you learn it in a phrase like, make a decision, now it's easier.
Oh, that's true. It's like, I see how to use it.
Exactly. And polyglots find examples like that everywhere. Movies, podcasts, songs.
It's like learning without even trying because you're enjoying the movie or whatever.
Exactly. It's fun and engaging. Like if you love music, listen to English songs.
I do that. And I notice I remember words better that way.
That's because you're connecting emotionally with the language. It makes a huge difference.
Okay, so we've got speaking from day one and learning in context. Anything else?
Well, another thing polyglots do really well is creating an immersive environment.
Immersive. So like surrounding yourself with English.
Yes, like your own little English bubble wherever you are.
I like that.
Yeah.
But how do you actually do that?
Easy steps first. Change your phone and computer settings to English. Might feel weird at first, but you get used to it fast.
Oh yeah, like constant exposure, right.
Right. And watch movies, TV shows, all in English.
Oh, I've been trying that. I still need subtitles sometimes, but...
You'll need them less and less as you go. And don't forget music, podcasts too. Those are great for on-the-go practice.
I love podcasts, perfect for when I'm walking or doing chores.
It's like multitasking for your English.
Love it. But honestly, remembering all these new words can be tough.
Polyglots have a weapon for that. Spaced repetition.
Spaced repetition. Okay.
Yeah.
That sounds kind of intimidating.
It's simpler than it sounds. Our brains are like muscles, you know?
Okay.
The more we use them, the stronger they get. But if we cram too much, our brains get tired.
I see. So spaced repetition is like spreading out the learning.
Yes. Revisiting things just before you forget them. This makes the memory stronger, moves it to long-term memory.
It's like reminding your brain at just the right time.
Yes. And the best part is, there are apps for this. Anki, Memrise, they do the work for you.
Wow. Those sound amazing. I'm going to check those out.
You should.
But before we move on, I'm curious about something.
What is it?
You mentioned making learning fun. We talked about movies, TV. But what if you're a bookworm?
Reading is one of the best ways to immerse yourself. It's like stepping into a different world.
I love that.
Yeah.
But a whole English novel can be overwhelming, right?
Totally. Start with something appropriate for your level. You don't need to jump into Shakespeare on day one.
So what do you recommend?
Have you heard of graded readers?
Graded readers. I think so.
They're books made for language learners. Simpler language, specific vocabulary levels.
Like training wheels before you ride a real bike.
Perfect analogy. Start there, build your confidence, then you can move on to harder stuff.
So maybe a children's book first, then maybe Harry Potter later.
That's the spirit. Try different genres too. Mysteries, fantasy, whatever you enjoy.
Because when you're enjoying it, you're more likely to keep reading.
Exactly. And don't worry about understanding every word. Get the main idea. You'll learn from context.
That's good advice because I tend to grab the dictionary too much.
I get it, but try to resist that urge. Often the meaning will become clear as you read.
So it's finding that balance, learning actively, but also letting yourself just enjoy the story.
Yes. Reading should be fun, not a chore.
Well said. Speaking of finding that balance, there's another polyglot technique we should discuss.
Ooh, I think I know what you're talking about.
You ready?
Yes. Tell me.
It's shadowing.
Shadowing, yes, it's such a powerful technique.
I'm ready to learn all about it.
Okay, so picture this. You're a shadow following someone, copying their every move.
Okay.
That's what shadowing is, but with language. You listen to a native speaker and repeat what they say.
Oh, so I'm basically mimicking them.
Exactly, trying to sound just like them, the pronunciation, the rhythm, everything.
Sounds challenging, but how does that actually improve my English?
First of all, it makes your pronunciation so much better.
Makes sense.
You're copying native speakers. You start to learn how English really sounds, how words connect, the music of the language.
So it's not just the words, but how you say them.
You got it. It helps you sound more natural and fluent when you speak.
Oh, I can see that, so I won't be so scared to speak if I practice this.
Exactly. And you can start shadowing at any level, beginner or advanced.
That's good to hear. So what's the best way to practice?
Podcasts and movies are great. Pick something you like with clear audio.
So maybe a podcast about, like, my hobbies.
Perfect. Enjoying the content helps. Find a short part, maybe 1 or 2 minutes long.
Okay, short part. Then what?
Time to be a shadow. Listen once through just to get a feel for it. Then play it again, but this time, pause and repeat after each sentence.
So it's like call and response, but I'm really trying to sound like the speaker.
Yes. Pay attention to everything, how they say each sound, which syllables are stressed, how their voice goes up and down.
It's like I'm an actor trying to become that native speaker.
Exactly. It's fun, and it helps you immerse yourself in the sounds of English.
I'm excited to try it. It sounds like a really fun way to practice speaking.
It is, and it can get addictive, you know? You'll find yourself shadowing everywhere.
Uh-huh. I can imagine. Okay, wow, we've covered a lot already. Speaking from day one, learning in context, creating an immersive environment, spaced repetition, reading, and now shadowing.
So many great polyglot secrets.
It feels like we've opened a treasure chest of language learning tips.
We have, but there's one more crucial ingredient we need to talk about. It's what brings everything together.
I wonder. What are you talking about?
Consistency.
You know what I was thinking. We've mentioned it a few times, but it deserves its own spotlight.
Definitely. Because learning a language is a journey, not a race. You can't just reach fluency and stop. It's about the process.
So it's more like a marathon, not a sprint.
Perfectly put. And consistency is how you run that marathon. Showing up every day, even just for a little bit. Those small efforts add up.
So no more cramming and then forgetting everything.
No more cramming. It's much better to create a routine, something you can actually stick with.
I can get behind that. But how do you create a routine that works? Especially when life gets busy and there are distractions everywhere.
Start with small, achievable goals. Don't try to learn too much at once.
Okay, small goals.
Like instead of 100 new words a week, try 5 or 10. Instead of a whole movie, just watch a 10-minute video. Make it easy to say yes to.
Small steps lead to big progress.
Exactly. You build momentum that way. Stay motivated.
I like that. It's all about those small wins.
It is. And don't forget to track your progress. Use an app, a journal, whatever works for you.
Like a visual reminder of how far I've come, even on days I feel stuck.
Exactly that. And speaking of motivation, remember to make it fun.
Right. Learning should be enjoyable. We talked about connecting with your interests.
If you're not enjoying it, you're less likely to keep going. So find that spark, that thing that makes you want to keep learning. So we're back, diving deeper into these polyglot secrets for learning English. Last time we were talking about consistency, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
It's so important for making real progress. Small steps every day, like you said.
Exactly. It's a journey, not a race. But speaking of cool techniques, there's one we haven't mentioned yet that I think you'll love. It's called the gold list method.
Gold list method. That sounds kind of fancy. Like a secret formula for learning words or something.
It's kind of like that, actually, but it's not about cramming or forcing yourself to memorize.
So good. Because that never works for me.
This is more about letting your brain do the work naturally.
Okay, I'm listening. Tell me how it works.
So you get a notebook just for your gold list. Anytime you see a new word you like, write it down. But just the word, no translations or definitions.
So I just write the word and that's it. Then what?
Then you wait for 2 whole weeks. Don't look at the list. Don't try to study it.
2 weeks? Wow, that seems like a long time.
I know, but trust me on this. During those 2 weeks, your brain is doing something amazing. It's deciding which words are important to remember.
Like it's filtering them without me even knowing.
Exactly. Your subconscious mind is working in the background. Then, after 2 weeks, you look at the list again. But here's the key. Don't try to remember the words. Just read them and see which ones pop into your head naturally.
So the ones I remember easily, those are the ones my brain decided were important.
You got it. Those are the winners. They've gone into your long-term memory.
This is so cool. It's like a game almost.
It is. And it takes away a lot of the stress of memorizing. Just write, wait, and see what happens.
I'm definitely going to try that. But, aside from learning new words, sometimes just staying motivated is the hard part.
Ah, yes, motivation. It's like the fuel that keeps you going.
Exactly. How do polyglots stay so motivated? It's like they never get tired of learning.
Well, they understand that consistency is key, but they also make it fun.
We talked about that, connecting learning with your hobbies.
Right. And they set realistic goals, too. Not too big, not too small. Goals that actually make sense for them.
Okay, good goals. But then what?
Then you track your progress. It's super motivating to see how far you've come.
That's true. Sometimes I forget to look back and see how much I've actually learned.
It's easy to get focused on what's still ahead, but celebrating your progress is so important, it keeps you going.
Like little rewards along the way.
Exactly. Now, on those days when you're feeling less motivated, remember, you're not alone in this. There are millions of people learning English all over the world.
Wow, millions. It's almost like a secret club.
It is. And thanks to technology, you can connect with other learners easily. There are so many apps and online communities.
That's awesome. Sharing tips, encouraging each other.
Exactly. It makes the journey so much more enjoyable and rewarding.
Speaking of enjoyable, remember how we talked about thinking in English?
Ah, yes. That's a big one. It can feel kind of strange at first, right?
Yeah, like how do you actually do it?
Start small. Just narrate your day in English in your head, like I'm making coffee, I'm going for a walk, simple things like that.
Okay, so like I'm my own English commentator.
I love that. And as you get more comfortable, you can make it more complex.
Yeah.
Describe things you see, ask yourself questions in English.
Questions. Like, what will I eat for lunch today? Or what am I learning from this podcast?
Exactly. It trains your brain to think in English automatically.
Amazing. But thinking in English won't help if I don't know the words. Right?
True. That's where those high-frequency words come in. Remember, those are the most common words in English, the ones you'll use all the time.
Right. So focusing on those is a good strategy.
It's one of the best. Master those, and you'll be able to understand and say so much more.
Makes sense. Working smarter, not harder.
Yeah.
Do you have any suggestions for where to find those high-frequency words?
Absolutely. The Oxford 3,000 word list is a great place to start. It's online, easy to find, and many apps focus on those words too.
Perfect. I'll definitely check that out. But it's not just about memorizing them, right?
Right. Use them in conversations, in writing, make flashcards, even sing songs with them. Make them part of your everyday English.
Got it. Make those words come alive.
Exactly. And as you learn more words, remember all those polyglot techniques we've been discussing. Learn in context, use spaced repetition, immerse yourself, and most importantly, have fun with it.
Because when you're enjoying the process, it doesn't feel like work. Speaking of which, what else can we learn from these polyglots? What other secrets do they have for making language learning more enjoyable?
Well, one of the biggest secrets is simply their attitude towards mistakes.
Mistakes. Everyone makes those, right?
Everyone does. But polyglots see mistakes differently. They don't see them as failures. They see them as opportunities to learn and grow.
Oh, that's a good way to look at it.
It is. Every mistake you make shows you something you need to work on. It helps you get better.
So it's not about being perfect. It's about learning from those imperfections.
Exactly. And remember, everyone makes mistakes, even native speakers. It's part of the process.
Okay, so making mistakes is okay, but how do I actually stop being afraid of them?
The best way is to just start speaking. The more you practice, the more comfortable you'll become.
Makes sense. But what if I freeze up? Like, my mind goes blank and I can't think of any words.
That happens. It helps to have a few phrases ready for those moments, like, I'm sorry, I don't understand, or could you please repeat that? Gives you a little time to think.
Good idea. I'm going to write those down.
And remember, most people are really patient when they know you're learning English. They just want to communicate.
That's true. It's not about being perfect. It's about getting your message across.
Exactly. So don't be afraid to make those mistakes. They're proof that you're learning and growing.
Wow. This part of our deep dive has been so insightful. I'm already feeling more confident about making mistakes and using what I've learned.
Me too. And there's even more to come. In the final part, we'll uncover a few more gems that will make your English learning journey even brighter.
Ooh, can't wait. This is getting exciting. Stay tuned for the final part of our deep dive into the world of polyglots. Okay, so we're back for the final part of our deep dive into polyglot learning. I'm really excited to see what other secrets we can uncover.
Me too. We've learned so much already. It's amazing how these polyglots have such a unique approach to learning languages.
I know, right? It's like they have a special recipe for success.
They do. And one of the key ingredients in that recipe is motivation. Polyglots understand that learning has to be fun and engaging.
We've been talking about that a lot, right? Connecting learning to your passions, making it enjoyable.
Exactly. When you're truly interested in what you're learning, it doesn't feel like work. It becomes an adventure.
Totally. Like, if you love music, you're more likely to learn English by listening to English songs than by just reading textbooks.
Exactly. It's about finding those things that spark your interest and make you want to keep learning. So, for example, if someone loves cooking.
Ooh, cooking. That's a good one.
A polyglot might watch cooking shows in English, read cookbooks in English, or even try to follow recipes in English.
Ah, that's smart. So it's not just about studying. It's about bringing English into your everyday life.
Exactly. Weaving it into the things you already enjoy doing. And it doesn't have to be cooking. It could be anything, music, travel, sports, whatever makes you excited.
I love that. It takes the pressure off and makes it feel more natural.
Right. And speaking of natural, another thing polyglots are really good at is setting goals.
Goals, yes. I know those are important, but sometimes I struggle with setting the right ones.
It can be tricky. Polyglots tend to set what are called SMART goals. Have you heard of those?
SMART goals? Not really.
It stands for specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound.
Wow, that's a lot. Okay, so break it down for me. What does that actually mean for an English learner?
So instead of a vague goal like improve my English, a SMART goal would be something like learn 10 new vocabulary words related to travel every week for the next month.
Oh, I see. That's much more specific and you can actually measure it, right?
Exactly. And it has a deadline and it's relevant to your interests if you like traveling.
That's really helpful. I need to start setting SMART goals.
You should. And then, of course, you need to track your progress, see how you're doing, make adjustments if you need to.
Right. Sometimes I get so focused on what's ahead that I forget to look back and see how far I've come.
It's easy to do that. But celebrating your progress is important. It keeps you motivated. It's like those little rewards along the way that keep you going.
I love that analogy. So we've got motivation, we've got goals. What other gems can we steal from the polyglot playbook?
Well, one thing I've noticed about polyglots is that they're not afraid to experiment. They're always trying new things, looking for new ways to learn.
That's so important. It's easy to get stuck in a rut, doing the same things over and over.
Right. Polyglots are always pushing themselves, exploring new techniques, and seeing what works best for them.
It's that growth mindset, believing that you can always learn and improve no matter what.
Exactly. And that brings us to another important point, the power of community.
Oh, yes. We talked about connecting with other learners, right?
Yeah.
Sharing your experiences, supporting each other.
It's so important. Polyglots are really good at building those connections, both online and offline.
I found that having a community makes a huge difference in my motivation. It's so encouraging to know you're not alone in this journey.
It really is. It makes the whole experience so much more enjoyable and rewarding.
Absolutely. So, taking all of this into consideration, I think what we've really been exploring in this deep dive is, well, it's more than just learning English, right?
Right. It's a whole way of thinking. It's about curiosity and growth and passion for language.
It's about seeing the possibilities that open up when you can communicate with people from different cultures and backgrounds.
It's about embracing the journey, the challenges and the rewards, and knowing that you can achieve anything you set your mind to.
This has been such an incredible journey. I feel like we've uncovered so many valuable secrets from these amazing polyglots.
Me too. And I hope our listeners feel inspired to put these techniques into practice.
I'm sure they do. So, as we wrap up this final part of our deep dive, what's the biggest takeaway you want our listeners to remember?
I think the most important thing is to remember that learning English should be fun. It's an adventure, not a chore. So, find what you enjoy, set realistic goals, and celebrate your progress.
That's perfect. And on that note, I think it's time to say goodbye.
Thank you for joining us on this amazing journey.
It's been such a pleasure exploring the world of polyglot learning with you all.
Remember, the key to success is consistency, curiosity, and a passion for language.
We believe in you, and we're here to support you every step of the way.
If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to subscribe to English with Narayana for more tips and inspiration to help you master English.
And don't forget to hit that notification bell so you don't miss any of our future episodes. We'll be back soon with more exciting deep dives into the world of language learning.
Until then, happy learning.
See you soon.